92. The Gerry Ryan Show, Monday to Friday, 9 till 12 on 2FM.
Now, here's an email. I think I'll read out this email because this is good. Okay. Now, you recall that we were talking with Jenny Houston last week and she was debunking, or at least she was referring to a book that does debunk the proposals and the suggestions made in Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. You know, that men are hardwired to think and act in a certain way and women likewise. And this book basically says that's not true. It's all socialising and it's socialisation and it's all, millennia of activity and it's all circumstantial. Well, quite a lot of people reacted to the conversation, mostly due to the fact of the erudite nature of Jenny Houston's delivery. I have to say she's fast becoming a very entertaining part of the week. And also sometimes a very challenging part of the week as she sits here in front of me now, because not everything she says I agree with, but sometimes it's quite difficult to find the language, the words, or even the proper argument to disagree with her. So that makes it all the more attractive and entertaining. Here's an email, though, in response to what she was saying last week. Dear Gerry, I was listening to you talking with Jenny Houston recently about male-female communication, and it really struck a chord with me. The thing is, I feel I have absolutely no relationship with my husband anymore. In fact, I'm wondering now if I ever really did. The children are more or less reared in that they are more independent and fending for themselves, which means myself and my husband have our lives back, well, so to speak. However, his life consists of going down to the pub all the time. Every single night of the week, and at weekends, that's where you'll find him. He'll never dream of suggesting that we go out for a meal together, and if I got tickets to a show, well, it would be a waste of money because there's no way that he'd come along with me. He says there's nothing stopping me joining him in the pub, but I've no interest in pubs. I never did. I guess I never really noticed this so much when the kids were younger, as I was busy taking them to music lessons, ballet lessons, and all the other after-school activities that we were involved in. But now that they're grown up, I have more time on my hands. I really notice it too. I'm sure there are many parents out there rearing children who look forward to this day, the day when they will have their lives back. But I never thought it would end up like this. I really feel very lonely, Gerry. And I would just love if every now and then my husband would think of me and spend some more time with me instead of going to the pub all the time. One bit of advice I'd give to any woman getting married is, don't give up your friends. That's the mistake I made. I dropped my friends when I got married. Maybe not intentionally, but as you know yourself, children do take over your life. And here I am today, feeling very much alone and lonely. Maybe some of your listeners have been in this situation. If so, I'd love to hear what they did. How did they cope? How did they move forward? How did they progress things? Did they get their relationship back on track? God bless you. Sincerely, a County Me, the listener. And I suppose there's a number of things in there that are instantly recognisable. From the generations, there was a time when that would have been absolutely the norm. Not just when the children were reared, but the entire way through a marriage. Men would have gone to the pub, particularly a certain group of men, having finished their day's work. Some of these fellas would even have gone as far as handing up the salary at the end of the week. A little would be held back for pints, or the missus would give them their allowance, quite like a child's pocket money. That was the way it was. I mean, that was my grandparents' generation, particularly amongst working class communities. You'd go, you'd do your job, you'd come home, you'd have your tea, and then you'd go down to the pub. And then you'd come home, go to bed, get up the next morning and repeat the process. Very little interaction with your children, and maybe the occasional trip to watch a football match or something at the weekend. And when the summer came, a day out at Britis. It was a simple and, I would imagine, for many, quite an unrewarding life. And I don't mean just for the women. I think for the men it was probably not the most rewarding way to conduct your business either. But that's the way it was. Now that, I thought, had died out. But no, I don't think so. I think there are still people who live exactly according to that old principle. I come home from work, I have my dinner, and then I go back out. I meet the lads and we sit and we talk and we chat and we gossip, and then I stagger home after a few pints. And he's saying here, well, of course, you're welcome to come and join me, but an awful lot of women couldn't be bothered. I know there's a new generation of younger Irish women who probably love and enjoy the pub as much as their male counterparts. But there's a lot of women, particularly after rearing a family, would have utterly no interest in going down to the pub. So is that her problem? That's the number one question. Is that his problem or her problem? Let's hear your views on that. And two, should I have been shocked to have to be reminded that in fact this old way of living your life is still very much a part of Irish society? Man goes out to work, woman at home, possibly haven't been at work herself during the day, now minding the children, and he's off then with his mates in the pub, having a few pints, watching the match, and then comes home. Now, for that to happen every single night, I mean, there are some of you listening, I've no doubt, who would believe that it's the key to a very happy marriage indeed. Probably mostly fellas, I would imagine. Kathy, good morning to you. Welcome. How are you?
Morning, Gerry.
Good. You were listening?
I was listening, and I just think that's a really sad letter. But
I have to tell you, can I tell you something, Kathy? It's not untypical of about 100 letters I've read out on this
programme. There's loads
programme.
of people like that.
Yeah.
But this lady, she reminded me of Shirley Valentine. Now, I'm not saying that she has to go and get a flight to Greece, but I think she needs to give this man a jolt. And there's no point in waiting for him to come along and do something nice. He's not going to, because he's in the habit of not.
Well, that's a very good point, though, that you've made, because in Shirley Valentine, her husband wasn't a bad man.
No, this man
was
probably isn't a bad man. If he says, why don't you come to the pub with me, he probably would like her to, you know. So I think she's got to give him a little bit of a shock. She's got to find somebody who lives away from Kildare and go and stay with them for a week. And leave him.
That's sort of Kildare equivalent of going to Greece. Would you not be better off just going to Greece?
She would like to go to Greece. I don't know. But I mean, maybe she doesn't have to be that dramatic. Maybe she wouldn't like to go to Greece on her own. Lots of women don't have the confidence to do that. But Shirley Valentine was really desperate. But she needs to go and just say, I'm off for a week. The kids are fine. She says they're fine. She doesn't need to worry about them. Leave them. And let him look after his meals and his shirts and his making the bed and all that sort of stuff that I would imagine he probably doesn't do. And let him just think a little.
And what effect do you think that would have? In Shirley Valentine, of course, he comes to his senses and he gets on a plane and he arrives over in Greece and it's all happily ever after.
Yeah. But maybe just a little jolt. Maybe that's what he needs, just a little.
Do you think that...
realise how much she does for him.
Do you think, I mean, I refer to my grandparents' generation, who many men and women lived like that all the time. It was considered completely normal. Do you think there's a lot of people like that now?
I think there probably are.
Yeah, I think there are many more than we probably realise or are willing to admit.
Maybe. I happily don't belong to that category. And my husband, although I would do lots of things at home, he would always say, I really appreciate everything you do. And that means more. You know, for him to say that every so often, just say, oh, you're great, that looks lovely.
Well, could you conceive of your husband going out every night to the pub?
Oh, no, he wouldn't go to the pub.
Well, to anywhere, every night.
Yeah, I know. But that's ridiculous. He's obviously a very blank personality.
Well, no, not necessarily.
Well, he must be. I mean, who does the same thing every night?
Well, I mean, millions of men did this from here to John O'Groats for decades. I mean, this is, you know, do you not recall the images of men leaving factories in Sheffield, Manchester, and then walking directly to the pub? They didn't even get home. And then they got home for their tea, and then they went back out to the pub.
I know.
And we're not talking about 50, we're talking about millions. Yeah. Millions of fellas lived like that.
I know. Well, I don't know.
Well, you're suggesting that she needs to give him a shock.
A shock of some sort.
But it doesn't have to be Greece.
Though, something that she really likes to do.
Yeah.
And
well, you see, you've actually hit the nail on the head. There is no point in having an argument over something like this. No. I really don't think there is. I think maybe there are some couples that therapy and counselling suits very well, and there are others that it doesn't. There is the issue, of course, of getting both people into the one room at the same time. That's often a much greater problem than people actually appreciate. And then sometimes you need to do something like this. Because initially he will go, huh?
Yeah.
What's happened there? Where's she
gone? What do you mean? And what about? My tea?
Yeah, what's going on here? What's happening?
Yeah.
And then he'll think he'll get it together after a fashion for a day or so, and then it'll all fall apart.
It'll all be about timing, though.
Really?
I think so. Yeah, she has to pick her
And
time.
if you're going to do something like that, do you tell the partner? Do you tell the husband? Do you tell him?
Oh yeah. Just say.
Do you say this is what I'm doing?
And but it has to be all set in store. And
do you say that you're coming back? By the way.
Oh, of course. I'm just only going away for a week.
Yeah.
So
you don't say I'm leaving. You say I'm
going
away for a week. And what happens when he says, "Where are you going?" Well, what do you mean you're going away for a week? Where are you going?
I'm going away to have a little week to myself.
But do you tell him where you're going though?
I suppose if she wants to, yeah. If she wants to, if she feels like it.
Okay.
Or if she wants to keep him guessing, fine.
Right. I can tell you're looking forward to the outcome of this.
And I feel very sad for her. It's awful because she obviously cares about her husband, and I think he probably cares about her too. That he probably would like. Well,
actually, let me just go back and say that there is nothing in this letter that indicates abuse of any nature from either party.
No, they just got into a rut.
Yeah, that they can't get out of.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Kathy.
Okie doke.
Here's a text from 51552. I got married 10 years ago. I go to the pub 2 nights a week. At first I tried to get herself to go with me, but she'd no interest. I live in rural Ireland, so it's my only outlet. If she doesn't want to join me, it's her problem. That's a legitimate argument, I think. He goes, he meets people, he interacts with other adults, other sentient human beings, and they have a chat, they have a row, they talk about headage payments, the match, your wife, your husband, whatever. I think that's reasonable to do that once or twice a week. I think it's healthy, I think it's good. And if she doesn't want to go, he is right. That is her problem. Nicola, good morning to you.
Hey, Gerry.
How are you?
Grant, he's just very selfish. And I don't know how old that woman is, but she makes it sound like she's like, after our whole life is wasted and all, but she still has loads of time. Like, she could join a group or anything, she could. She's plenty of time and opportunity to meet new people.
I think, though, reading between the lines, though, Nicola, that what she wants is her husband.
Well, do you know what she could do? Is another angle. She could actually go to the pub with him, because he's not going to be able to sit. Even if she doesn't want to go, he can't sit with his mate while she's there. And it will actually put him off going every night. Like, going once or even twice a week wouldn't be bad, but it'll actually, if he did invite her and she goes with him, he can't sit with his mates the way he does every night. I
don't see any harm in going once or twice a week. In fact, I think it's a healthy thing to do.
Exactly.
But every single night,
no,
it's not.
Out of order. He obviously prefers being with other people more than he does with home.
Tell me, does your fella go out every night?
No, I wouldn't. No, he's not at all like that. No, he goes out. He has his nights out with his mates. I have me nights out with my friends.
Yeah.
But we're with each other 19 years. We're getting married in July. But there's no way would I wouldn't put up with from him, and he wouldn't put up with from me. I mean, we have to spend time with each other. Or else
I know there is a vice versa, and you're absolutely right. And you're getting married in July.
Yeah.
After 19 years. Will you wear white?
I don't think so. I know.
I remember many years ago, my grandmother, who would have been fairly unused to the idea of a lady and a man living together and then getting married, and somebody mentioned to them, somebody like in your own case, you've children, I presume, Nicola, do you?
Yeah, two.
Two, okay. Somebody mentioned this to my grandmother. My grandmother said, "How do you mean they're getting married?" And my mother said, "Well, Mum, they're getting married. You know, they're going to get married." And she said, "Oh my God! And what did she wear?" And my mother said, "Well, she's wearing a wedding dress, and is it white?" And my mother said, "Yes." And she said, "I would think cream would be more appropriate."
I think that's pretty old-fashioned. It is an old-fashioned
I think cream might be appropriate. And I remember saying to my mother, because I was a child at the time, we went home and I said, "What does she mean by, what did Nana mean by that?" And my mother took a big breath and she went, "She means that white would be too new for a bride who's been living with her husband for a while." You wear white, Nicola.
If I want, I might wear red.
You wear red if you want to, with lights on it. Yeah. All right, thank you for your opinion this morning. Aidan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gerry.
Welcome, good to have you with us.
Thank you. Just thought I'd try and give a male perspective on the conversation you're having.
Heavens forbid.
Heaven forbid is right. No, I think that lady is coming at it from the wrong. The first caller you had on there was coming at it from the wrong point of view.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, if they've reared their family and all the rest of it, they are both entitled to start living their life whatever they thought it would be, you know. I think the lady made a mistake. She said that she gave up her friends when they had kids. Maybe she'd no choice in the matter, I suppose.
I think that can happen to men and women in a marriage.
Of course, yeah. But I think men are more inclined to go out and socialise and make new friends or rekindle old friendships than maybe women are.
Yeah.
But I think the first thing she has to do is, not in the smart way, but to get a life for herself, insofar as literally get a life for herself. Join clubs, make new friends, re-find old friends, and basically show them, well, listen, pal, I can live too,
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a fighting situation,
that's an interesting point, Aidan. There is a temptation, I think, to see this as a battle, and that the battle should commence, and I'll show you and you'll show me, and then we'll all show each other together, and really at the end of that maybe you've got the marriage breaks up. And
that's exactly where the brown stuff hits the air conditioning, because it doesn't have to be a battle, it can be a situation where you have two adults who've done their work, still care for one another, living their lives, and both of them are happy doing that. Hopefully, of course, meeting in the middle somewhere along the line, but it doesn't have to be a battle.
I'm putting myself out on a limb here to a degree by saying that I really think that what this woman actually wants is her husband.
Well, I'd imagine so, and quite rightly so. And I'd say deep down he probably wants her as well. It's just he's probably got into a habit now at this stage. Now I don't want to be talking about the chap as if he's in the wrong or whatever, but he's probably got into a habit, Now. And
also men, and I'll admit this myself, we have a tendency when we get away with something for a while to sort of try and delude ourselves into thinking that, well, this is obviously the way it's meant to be, so I can go to the pub. I
wouldn't think that's just men. I think that probably applies to human nature in general. But I think probably though, if she went out and, as I said, basically got on with her life and all the rest of it. Now, of course, there has to be contact between the two of them. You don't know from that email. Obviously, she's feeling very badly, but I don't know if he's aware. However long they were married, obviously in the beginning there was common ground. That common ground is still there. It might have moved a bit, but there's still common ground there between the two of them. And I think instead of trying to stop him doing what it is he wants to do, she should probably start doing what she wants to do as well, and you'll find that they will come around,
I'm fascinated, this is slightly a sidebar issue, I'm fascinated as to how he can afford to go out to the pub every single night.
Well, so am I, to be honest with you. I wouldn't mind that. Well, I don't know what I do with every night.
I thought only yesterday we were reading about the slump in the sales of pints of stout, and yet he can go out every night.
He must be one of the ones that has 600,000 or whatever to hand. I certainly am one of them. But I'm a kind of one night a week man myself. And mind you, if you tried to take that one night a week off me, I wouldn't be too happy with it. But
no, and one night a week shouldn't do anybody any harm.
Certainly every night a week, it is a bit much. Even from my own point of view, I do think it's a bit much. But I know I'm going to be slaughtered here by all the women's ever, but possibly he's bored at home as well. Possibly if he had something, I don't know how would be the word to put it, something more interesting to do, he mightn't be trying to go to the pub every night. Now I know I'm going to get shot over that.
What are you suggesting? A little bit more red satin?
Well, not necessarily. Maybe he has a heavy night and he's fed up. But obviously coming to something that they can do together that they both enjoy. Damn it to hell, they got married. There must be something there.
Well, Brendan Behan's mother once gave advice to a young woman who said, "I tell you what you could do," says Kathleen Behan. "You could serve Miss Tea in the nip."
Yeah, but maybe he doesn't want to be in the nip getting his tea.
No, I think the idea was that
I know, yeah.
All right, good morning to you, Aidan. Good morning.
Good luck,
of course, I sound like an idiot explaining it there, don't I? Now, I've never understood these announcements. Teresa just handed me these. As a child, I used to laugh when I'd hear these things on Radio Éireann. "We would like to apologise to 2FM listeners in the Limerick City area for an upcoming outage from 10 o'clock today until 5 p.m. The outage is for essential maintenance to be carried out on the transmitter mast." Well, at least I'm saying it before 10, because in the old days you'd have Radio Television. "We would like to apologise to listeners using the Capure transmitter. This transmitter has been off the air since 4 o'clock this morning." And you'd say, but what's the point in announcing this if it's off the air? Who's picking it up? Are the people in Galway going to run down to the people near Capure and tell them that their transmitter's off the air? Anyway, if you're listening in the Limerick area, there'll be an outage, as we refer to it in RTE, an outage. And that'll be taking place for essential maintenance. We wouldn't be doing it for the crack from 10 until 5 p.m. today. Now, Here's a text, 51552. I think it's a text, isn't it, this here? Yeah. That woman sounds like a friend of mine. She met a man and devoted herself to him. She was the housewife and worked at home bringing up the children. She gave up her career outside the home and had his dinner on the table every evening. And when one day after the children had grown up, he upped and left, she had nothing, no friends, no career, no life. It was heartbreaking. Tell that woman to stop whinging. I bet you she was the one who wanted to get married and demanded her big day regardless. This is a different text, obviously. She was the one who demanded her big day regardless of what her husband wanted. She made her bed now. She may lie in it. God, this is harsh. I'm a man who goes to the pub with the boys while my wife's at home minding the kids. She so desperately wanted. Women should think again before demanding their big day.
This is the Gerry Ryan Show on 2FM. Call 08457 585 285 from Northern Ireland.
And here's a text. I got married 10 years ago. I go to the pub 2 nights a week. At first I tried to get her to go with me, but she'd no interest. I live in rural Ireland, so it's my only outlet. If she doesn't want to go with me, well then that's her problem. Did I read that one out already? Did I? No, that's another one. So it seems to be quite a lot of those coming in from rural Ireland there. Now, question. What, as we get closer to St. Valentine's Day, what are the world's cheesiest love songs? Well, I suppose it's a matter of debate, but we have a playlist, a new playlist, and it's at the very least a great starting point in getting to the bottom of this vexatious question. I suppose there have been more cheesy love songs written than most would even care to hear. And the playlist that I have here in front of me works in 2 diametrically opposed manners. The first is as a group of emotionally charged tearjerkers that will, I believe, truly appeal to most of you, if you're honest. And the second is as a satirical look into the very worst of pop music. That will be being, I suppose for people being alone maybe on St. Valentine's Day, it would seem to be even a more appropriate choice than listening to these songs. And here is the playlist. See if you would like to add to it or if you agree with it or not. The world's cheesiest love songs. You're the Inspiration from Chicago. Suddenly, Billy Ocean. The Wind Beneath My Wings. Bette Midler. Hello, Lionel Richie. Everything I do it for you. Bryan Adams. Separate Lives. Phil Collins. Hold On to the Nights. Richard Marx. I wouldn't put that in there. Tonight, I Celebrate My Love. Peabo Bryson. Always, Atlantic Star. Islands in the Stream. Dolly Parton. And if there's somebody else with there, it's what's his name? Kenny Thingamajig there. I Honestly Love You. Olivia Newton-John. I Want to Know What Love Is. Foreigner. I actually saw them playing. They supported Led Zeppelin. In the Dome there a couple of weeks ago. How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? Michael Bolton, the man with more hair than sense. Every Rose Has Its Thorn from Poison. Every Time You Go Away, Paul Young. Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now, Starship. I wouldn't have thought that was one of the great romantic songs, would you? The Lady in Red, Impossible to Resist for many. Krista Berg, I'll Always Love You, Taylor Dean. The Power of Love, Jennifer Rush. Whatever happened to Jennifer Rush? Arthur's Theme. Remember? Dudley Moore. It was Christopher Cross who gave us the music. Loving You. Minnie Riperton. Now, which one are you going to listen to? Which one could you stomach? Will it be that? Will it be that? Will it be that? Will it be that? Will it be this? No, it'll probably be this. We're all dying. Get one last shag in.
It must have been cold there in my shadow to never have sunlight on your face. You were content to let me shine. That's your way. You always walk
Oh, look, she's just died. Sorry, I know, I shouldn't. Really sure I shouldn't.
Without a name for so long, a beautiful smile to hide the pain. Did you ever know that you're my hero and everything I would like to be? I can fly my wings. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I've got it all here in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth. I know I would be nothing without you. Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I wish I could be. I could fly higher than an eagle. Are the wind beneath my wings. Did I ever tell you you're my hero? You're everything, everything I wish I could be. Oh, night I can fly higher than an eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings. 'Cause you are the wind beneath my wings. Oh, the wind beneath my wings. You are the wind beneath my wings.
I've been alone with you inside my mind, and in my dreams I've kissed your lips 1,000 times.
This one's not dead, she's just blind.
I sometimes see you pass outside my door. Hello, is it me you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes, I can see it in your smile. You're all I've ever wanted, and my arms are open wide. 'Cause you know just what to say, and you know just what to do. and I want to tell you so much. I love you. I long to see the sunlight in your hair and tell you time and time again how much I care. Sometimes I feel my heart will overflow. Hello, I've just got to let you know, 'cause I wonder where you are, and I wonder what you do. Are you somewhere feeling lonely, or is someone loving you? Tell me how to win your heart, for I haven't got a clue. But let me start by saying I love you. Are you somewhere feeling lonely? Is someone loving you? Tell me how to win your heart, for I haven't got a clue. But let me start by saying I love you.
Lionel Richie. I'd actually forgotten. It's a fine guitar piece at the end of that there. Hello, and of course before that, Bette Midler with all the hair. And remember her face when she turned around. She realised the pal was actually dead. She looked like somebody just stuck in a cattle prod up her bottom and switched it on, which is probably an idea for the weekend. Here's a text anyway on Bette Midler. Not everybody loved it as much as the girls outside did. 51552 Lorraine picked all the songs, and I just said, Lorraine, these are too cheesy. I can't play these. It's silly. And she said, no, they love them. Ger, play them. Bette Midler, not only the worst love song, but also the most patronising song ever written. Its basic message is, I was great, but you were also there, says Cormac from Donegal. Interesting analysis, Cormac. Karina, good morning to you. How are you?
Hi, Gerry. How are you?
Would you say that was the worst of them all, The Wind Beneath My Things?
Yeah, I wouldn't particularly like Bette Midler, but I wouldn't mind Lionel Richie.
You like Lionel Richie, yeah?
Yeah. Don't particularly like Bette Midler, though.
Okay, well, what do you think we should be playing?
There's a song that's missing off your playlist. Yeah. It's called Suddenly. It's from Angry Anderson. Now, it's from back in 1989. Myself and my husband are 19 years married this year, and we had heard it on Neighbours because I was a big fan. Kylie and Jason had it as their wedding song.
Yeah.
And we walked Dublin looking for the single because it wasn't necessarily released over here, and eventually we found the album. So we had to buy the album just for the one song. But it's on our...
Can you sing it?
No, I have a bad throat. I'm on antibiotics.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm very sorry. That's a long time ago. I think that's nearly 20 years ago.
Well,
and by the way, Kylie's looking better now.
Yeah, my husband loves her.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be adverse to Kylie myself. Those little shorts, she could have sent them on tour by themselves. Now, I don't have it actually. Well, I thought I was going to get Kylie and Jace, whether or not just didn't seem to materialise there. I don't know what happened. It's especially for you. We have that. Isn't that wonderful? That's not what you're looking for, though. Sure,
no, that wasn't what I was looking for.
No.
But that's nice too.
That's nice too. All right, Karina. Good morning.
All right, thanks.
And
Gerry.
I hope that you get better soon as well. Okay.
Gerry, before you go,
yeah,
can I please just wish the best of luck to the 6 years in Sancta Maria College in Ballyroan? They're starting their mocks on Monday.
Oh, God.
And they're all doing very good studying over the midterm.
All right. Well, good luck to all of you who are on your midterm break at the moment. I know that my own guys are on their midterm break. I have a junior cert and a leaving cert on the midterm break, which I know, and I'd say they're up at the moment helping clean up the house and then getting stuck into their studies. Would you say that's what they're doing?
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Yeah, I bet you that's what they're doing. This is especially for you.
All right, thanks very much, Gerry.
Do you remember this one?
Are you still there? Do I hang up?
You're listening to Shite FM.
Especially for you, I wanna let you know what I was going through. All the time we were apart, I thought of you. You were in my heart, my love never changed. I still feel the same.
Especially for you, I wanna tell you I was feeling that way too. And if dreams were wings, you know, I would have flown to you to be where you are.
No matter how far, and now that I'm next to you,
No more dreaming about tomorrow. Forget the loneliness and the sorrow.
I'm gonna say it's all because of you. And now we're back together, together. I wanna show you my heart is oh so true. And all the love I have is especially for you. Especially for you, I wanna tell you you mean all the world to me.
How I'm certain that our love was meant to be. You changed my life.
You showed me the way, and now that I'm next to you,
I've waited long enough to find you. I wanna put all the hurt.
Come on, admit it, you're singing along.
I wanna bring out all the light inside you.
freaks.
Oh, and now we're back together, together. I wanna show you my heart is oh so true. And all the love I have is especially for you. You were in my heart, my love never changed.
No more dreaming about tomorrow. Forget the loneliness and the sorrow.
I'm gonna say it's all because of you. And now we're back together, together. I wanna show you my heart is oh so true. And all the love I have is especially for you.
Indeed, memories of a more innocent time. Stock Aitken and Waterman, I'm sure, responsible for the production. That was Jason Donovan when he still had his hair, pre the drugs, and Kylie Minogue sounding, as they used to describe her, like Minnie Mouse on helium. Both of them survived, mind you, and I dispute even the most cynical to not admit that you were at some point humming along with that. Don't worry, I won't tell anybody. Maura, good morning.
How are you, Gerry?
Good. How are
I'm
you?
just looking for you to play a song for when I had hair.
Go on.
It's going back to about 1979 in Sweden. Misunderstanding by Genesis.
There must be some misunderstanding.
I was waiting in the rain for hours. But anyway, it was my first time.
I remember that.
It was my first time in a man's sweet shop.
I think that was from, and then there were 3, I think was the album, wasn't it?
I don't know. All I know is that my husband was at a Genesis concert in Wembley when I was having my baby, my first baby.
You lucky thing. That must have been a good night.
But anyway.
So that would have been Phil Collins on vocals. I think Steve Hackett was the guitar player, but it left.
Chester Thompson on drums, would it be?
Chester Thompson on drums, and Daryl Stummer would come in, and Tony Banks on keyboards.
Yes.
I saw them perform that, I think, at Nebworth, if I recall, when I was but a boy child.
Very good. Well, it reminds me of, even though I was with my husband, it was my first time to see a 6'4" blonde man in Sweden. Because we didn't have them in Ireland. I don't think we still have them, actually.
No, I think we're a bit short on the 6'4" blonde men.
So it's just all I have is my memories, you know.
There must be some misunderstanding. Okay, we'll try and find it for you.
Okay, talk to you.
Good morning.
Bye.
Don't be ashamed. Don't ever be ashamed of liking this music.
Oh, no, okay.
Okay, good morning. Now, Geraldine, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gerry. How are you?
Very good. Well, you've got another that we don't have on the list.
Zoom by Fat Larry's band.
Zoom.
Just one look and then my heart went boom.
Boom.
How old is that song, Gerry?
Oh, I'd say about 20 years, I would think.
And the rest. I'm at least 27 years old.
Now, I'm fairly certain that I probably had a radio programme at night time, late at night, and I'd say that we were at 10 o'clock because I was still doing law exams at the time. And I would come in here and have an absolute ball with Mark Cagney and Dave Fanning.
Song.
And Fanning used to hate all that music. He'd be going, oh, that's crap. You know, have you no dignity? Why are you playing that?
I still look in every jukebox I see to see is it on there. I love it.
And we can't find it for you. Isn't that the problem?
And you know, Gerry, you were the man who put me on page 3 of the Daily Mirror.
Did I?
You did.
How did I do that?
Many years ago, we had a bar in the back garden and you put me on the telephone.
Yeah.
And I ended up on page 3 of the Daily Mirror. Thanks to the Gerry Ryan Show.
How did you, what were you doing that you got on to page 3?
Well, you put me on the show because we had a bar built in the back garden.
Which was probably all those years ago very unusual.
At the time, it probably was. I think lots of people
remember this. I know this woman. You and your fella had built a bar in a shed in the back garden.
That's right, Gerry.
Yes.
Then a couple of years later, you sent me to see the Chakran with my fella.
The Chakran. At the time, I think it was John McColgan of Riverdance fame. And I think Don Wycherley, I think, was in the lead role, wasn't
Correct.
he? Yeah.
In the Abbey Theatre.
And it was a great production, a great night out.
It was fabulous. And we got a 4-star hotel and a limousine to boot.
Ah, those were the good old days.
Oh, I tell you, Gerry, that was fabulous. That was the last time I was at the theatre, actually, because I had another baby a couple of weeks after that.
And that was the end of that?
That was the end of that, Gerry.
Well, Mrs., that's absolutely appalling. You've got to get yourself out, girl.
Oh, I know, Gerry. 4 boys is very hard. Very hard. They're eating me out of house and home.
All right, I'll try and find Fat Larry's Zoom for you. This is great. This feels like an old-fashioned music programme today.
It does, actually, doesn't all the old ones ringing you up, you see.
Good morning.
Thanks a million, Gerry.
God bless you. It's great to hear your voice again.
Bye.
Take care. Here's a text from Bette Midler. In defence of Bette Midler, 51552. Bette Midler is excellent. She is an American version of our Queen of Entertainment, Twink. I have to tell you, Twink would be very tickled pink to be given the same mention in the same breath as Bette Midler. I think Twink is a fan. Adele, I know you're a fan of Bette Midler. They just ooze talent, both of them. Doesn't get much better than that, does it?